6:45 p.m. Yeah, we'll call committee of the whole to order. Item number 1.1 is the sewage lagoon.
So this has come up several times at, in a committee of the whole meeting. We had an EAP that was sent out, an environmental act proposal, and we've had a company that did some work for us. At our meeting, we discussed having a resolution to move forward with the environmental act proposal and also a compliance submission as per previous discussion. In order to move forward, we would like this resolution.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
Sounds good. We'll find any.
And then we can send a letter.
Maybe we can. Is that okay to send that letter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pass the resolution, send the letter.
Okay.
What letter are you referring to?
A letter which I discussed, or which Alan brought up at the other meeting, at the public council meeting. I brought it up in the past about sending a letter to the province saying we're already having issues with our lagoon. Part of our problem in our community is we can't expand because our lagoon doesn't meet the requirements, so that we can move forward and do something in the meantime. Because we as a municipality cannot expand or can't wait another 10 years to expand. Otherwise our poor ratepayers of the community will be picking up the tab for that.
So, I don't understand, what are we asking from the government?
We're asking for their support, either A, to help us get this working through, either financially, or maybe we could at least in the meantime, get their approval to maybe permit us to have a little bit of a development until we have our plan completed at the end.
Oh, okay, so we don't have a plan to share with them, we just have a...
We have an EAP that
We're
we
still
just
working,
had,
yeah,
yes.
still working.
But in the meantime, until that plan, we have to do it in stages due to the affordability of the community. We have to do it in stages, so we're gonna ask the province, can we do something to bridge this in to not have to turn away any kind of development in the community? So can you help us out here by either A, expanding our timeline in compliance, or maybe there's some financial commitment they would help us out.
Okay. So we have a resolution next meeting. Send a letter out. Okay. All right, so blocking path.
So at our last committee, our last council meeting, we had a presentation by some of the people that live in the Cudmore Crescent area down by Rotary Park, and it was expressing their concerns about the vandalism and ongoing issues with the walking path. We've had our Public Works Department, our Engineering Department, meet with those affected, and they did agree that this is an ongoing issue with the walking path. However, before they do any kind of closures within the area, as per what we do with our Planning Act, we want to send a letter to the citizens in the area within 100 meters of those walking path openings and see if they have any issues with that. Some people may have good ideas which would maybe result in not closing them, or you may have the community in the area saying we definitely want these closed. It's going to affect anybody in those areas, so we would like them to be aware rather than just going ahead and closing them.
Just a question related to that is anything being done with regard to the trees that overhang those things that are on private property and whatnot, that make it a tunnel and very dark and everything else?
Some of the trees are being done by the town of the Paw, and others are being done through our unsightly premises bylaw, where we ask them to turn them back.
Okay.
And if anybody here does see that as you're walking along the path, please let us know so we can ensure that someone gets a letter.
And two, with regard to unsightly premises, I'm not sure what our bylaw says, but I know some of those fences have been left unattended for a long time with some unsightly stuff, and I'm wondering how does that impact?
Specifically, this is why a lot of the people aren't doing it, is because they do the repairs and within no time, because it's become a local hangout spot, it happens again. That's why a lot of the people are leaving their property in ill repair, because they're tired of re-cleaning it and re-putting up their boards and repainting. They did try the programs, or they do fill in the RCMP, but that doesn't fix the problem. They're hoping that we can, even for a temporary, try to cut off the use of it and see what happens.
I like the idea of using the rezoning process of notification as a bit of a template for communicating the idea.
Yeah. Me too.
So can we have to go ahead to send out letters?
Yes. All right, sorry, I got lost here. 3.1, planning and development variation.
So this is with respect to the variation that we had earlier. Staff has, I must say Mr. O'Rourke has worked with staff in trying to address some of the current concerns outlined. Keep in mind, this is the approval of the variation. This is not the approval of his actual development. This is his variation, to make sure the site requirements are done. We also have an agreement, or have a draft agreement as it relates to the other off-site traffic issues. When it comes to the variation for like the site minimums, is very specific to that. It does not go with your, like how you're gonna drive in and all that other stuff. That is worked out in a separate agreement. That agreement has been drafted by our lawyer. And Mr. O'Rourke has it in his hands now to review, and we'll move forward that way. I just wanna make it very clear, this is very specific to the site area minimums.
It's not giving him permission
To go ahead and do, yeah. This isn't a green light saying, yeah, go build whatever you want. There's still a development agreement that he's gotta enter into,
How does
which
the
addresses some of the concerns.
the development
referred to.
agreement just comes under bylaw, or how does that?
It's a resolution.
Yeah, through
It'll have to be a
resolution.
resolution.
Right.
We can't
But
enter into any agreement
It doesn't
without that.
require any kind of variation to zoning or anything like that? It's
In
just,
there it did, yeah, it was part of that to begin with,
right,
and it would have been the approval of this first. He's done it one step already by
Okay.
doing this.
we're good.
Is that other one then, for the traffic, is that coming up at our next council meeting?
It'll be, like, it's still in the process of being done back and forth, so when we do have a final draft that we think is acceptable, that's when we'll be bringing it to council, which outlines everything.
This had to be done before the development agreement.
Yep, I understand, I understand. Okay,
But we can't enter into that agreement until you guys pass a resolution to do
okay,
it. But
so,
we're still in the negotiation stage between our lawyer, ourselves, and Mr. O'Rourke.
okay. And so I don't, where are we at on that then? Are we okay to move this forward for approval?
I am.
Consensus is,
Yeah.
I'm not, but.
Yeah. Well, I want to hear from everyone because I want to have a
Who's
consensus.
for it?
Yeah,
Put our hands up.
there we go. Okay, all right,
Just
just want to make sure we have a consensus.
variation.
Yes,
Variation
yes.
only.
I totally understand that, I do.
Okay, 4.1, OCM Blizzard.
So a motion to move forward?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say, if we're moving the motion forward, can we, who's gonna move the motion? I gotta know who I'm gonna debate with before I have to go in a meeting and debate.
We have no idea.
You're gonna debate the issue, you're not gonna debate the person.
Eh?
So you're gonna debate the issue, not the person. It shouldn't matter who moves it.
It does matter,
Why?
because
Just because Alan's smarter than me?
he's the chair of something. You stay away from that. But no, I think it's important when you go into it, we can have long meetings, or you can, if you're looking at some minor change or tweaking or something, talking to people that are moving the motions is more important. The other thing is, if nobody's moved the motion, why is it on the agenda?
What?
I'm going to say something here.
Well,
I understand where you're getting from, Brian, but we discussed at this meeting that we are going to sit down and discuss your reasoning and everything, but now is not the time. We are going to discuss it, bring it, you have to put that on the agenda specifically so we can discuss that. Okay?
But just for the record,
Yeah.
I'm happy to, if you want to put my name down and move it.
Yeah.
That's just as a side note, I got
Yeah.
a problem
I'm happy
with it
to
sitting in
sign.
front of me,
Yeah, okay.
if that
So
helps.
who's doing the first one for the sewage lagoon resolution then?
Honestly,
Yeah.
I
I'm
think
not
we need to
doing
have a
this.
conversation.
Yeah,
with this.
yeah.
It's just crazy.
It needs to be, yeah.
Sure,
Okay.
I'm okay with moving to the next agenda item.
Okay,
You're gonna get,
then away we go. As I mentioned earlier, 4.1, OCM Blizzard.
So during a meeting with the town and OCN Blizzard Board, it was mentioned that the town would consider providing an in-kind sponsorship by giving players use of the Wellness Center for training and development. And they've also asked if the town would consider the sponsorship of 2 games at the Roy H. Johnson Arena during this hockey season. The approximate amount of the games per game is $243. The membership is $4,472 for 6 months. Keeping in mind that the town of Paw also provides a $5,000 grant to the OCM Blizzard. I am a board member. I have 0 recommendation because I do not want to have a conflict here. At the meeting, it was brought up that we consider, I never said approve, consider 6-month wellness center membership and sponsor ice for 2 games at 4H Johnson? That is the question.
So, I believe we already offer them 2 games in our sponsorship, I guess, package, if you would call it that, right? We offer them 2, I thought we had an agreement.
No, last year, actually, the 2 games that were sponsored by, one was by
Boreal
yourself,
Properties.
Boreal Properties.
Yeah.
And the other game was personally, financially sponsored by myself and
Yeah.
another board member.
Yeah. One other thing that I remember in that discussion that we had with them is that they said that they would be willing to maybe do something with our minor hockey, like have the boys do like not a hockey camp, but like maybe some
Skills and
skills and
drills.
drills and that sort of thing, like as an exchange, right? So we give them the 2 games and the membership, and then they would be giving back to us by way of teaching our youth.
When we had the meeting there on, what was that, Wednesday? No, Monday.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, caught me off guard. We talked about that, about the PR game, but wasn't the money to be coming from destination marketing or something like that, instead of taking out another? No, I've got the wrong one.
Community enhancement.
Community enhancement, that's right, okay. But that was, yeah. And it's great PR for like the guys to come with the little kids, because little kids look up to these guys, and they could be future hockey players.
Okay, anybody else? Chad?
For me, it's a no-brainer. We're able to help out our local junior hockey team with a contribution that really doesn't hit the taxpayers in the pocketbook. We're able to do in-kind contributions, and it's pretty simple. I understand that if we were to sell them those wellness center memberships, they'd be $4,400, and that's fine and dandy. But realistically, they probably wouldn't be buying them unless we were giving it to them. So I think I would vote in favor of this if it was brought forward.
Alan?
Yeah, I think on the gym side, it's a huge marketing draw. They're probably there non-peak times, just based on their schedule most days. So why wouldn't we do it? And then on the rink side, we rent not only the ice, but we rent the concession out, and we get a portion of the ATM machine between minor hockey. So when you have 2 nights where it's full, and that was the case last year, and then you turn around the next year and you're trying to find someone to run your canteen to make a few bucks, well, these are the kind of events that draw that, in my opinion.
If I may add to that, they did request that one night be the Trappers Festival weekend. Because that was the weekend they had it there last year, and it was very successful.
Yes.
I'm in favor of, the only comment or thought that I have is that I would want to make sure that in the event that the team itself wants to be at the wellness center training as a group, that there be some recognition that the manager of the wellness center has the ability to say, guys, that's great, but if you're bringing 20 guys here, it needs to be some ability to manage that group, so that the users that are paying to be there aren't being displaced. If there's individuals, whatever, it's no big deal, but if that group decides to train as one, that needs to be scheduled with the manager, and that there just be some recognition in the allowance for this to happen, that they're doing that through communication with the director of the wellness center, or whatever the appropriate title is there. Otherwise, I think it's one small thing that we can do.
Anybody?
It's good.
Anybody else?
Supporter David?
Well, I'll go on the record and say, I agree with Alan Gibb. That's about, we'll move on.
Like that
Oh my.
Yeah.
It's on tape.
So we would look at.
Did you hear what Andrew said? He said I was a really smart guy too.
We'd
They
look
missed
at
that one.
Okay.
They missed that one.
Hey.
Sorry, we would look at a resolution that would sponsor 2 games per year at our arena, and also to recognize that we would cover the membership for the 6 months at $44.72. However, we would like some sort of involvement with minor hockey, whether it be skills and drills or some sort of setup like that.
Is it
Just
just
want you guys to
minor
confirm.
hockey, or
I-
if people wanting to come to the wellness?
I think it should be.
center, like, ice
Wellness center, or this was skills and drills, it was talking more on the ice.
Yeah.
I just think some type of community involvement, whether
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily have to be with minor hockey or with the wellness center, but some type of community
Community
involvement. Whether it's in the
You
school
make
or
community
whatever.
public skates, stuff
Whatever,
like that,
yeah.
Skate
Yeah.
Blizzard.
If they, I remember sitting at KRC and public skating was often difficult because there was nobody to supervise public skating.
There you go.
So if there's an opportunity for the Blizzard to
Smart.
be the supervisors of the public skate
Yep.
from time to time,
Yep,
that would probably draw a ton of kids and also actually handle the whole, don't let the kids be doing things they shouldn't be doing at the public
Perfect.
skate.
great idea.
Yep.
All right,
Running off
Andrew.
on that.
And then also to ensure that it doesn't interrupt with the regular
Yes.
operations, to work with the recreation.
It has to be scheduled with, like, recreation director, yeah.
Okay, financial statements, Councilor Gibb.
So I'm bringing this forward partly because we don't meet again for another month. And I feel if we don't have a discussion about it, we could be sitting in September. But 2 years ago, before the shutdown, or the proposed shutdown or potential shutdown, we're sort of getting on track with getting our budgets earlier in the year, so the staff could turn around and go out and get things done. And I think our statements are starting to fall behind, so we need a plan to get them caught up. And we need, if there's resources we need to go out and acquire to get that to happen, then we need to do that. But again, the main thing is I didn't want to leave it, because if we talk about it a month from now it's September, it's October, November, December, when we should be talking about budget. And to me, we need like 2015, 2016 done and starting into 2017.
Just to clarify, you're referring to the audited financial
Yes,
statements?
yes.
Because the regular financial statements were pretty
Right,
close to
yeah,
audit.
Yeah.
right. But again, if the auditors find something askew, right? Now we're going back 2 years, you're making adjustments 2 years back. Like, if we don't have the 2016 adjustments, we're using statements that there's a potential for challenges.
Okay,
I agree with Alan Gibb. I know,
Oh, my God,
I know.
two of them.
there is something wrong in this room. It's-
We should go back
We're all
and-
agreeing
go
with
back
Alan
and-
Gibb.
Go back in there,
I
fight it
almost
out.
wanted to
It's because
start
it's-
with
it's
this
because
one,
it's
because
cool in
I-
here.
I-
Yeah, that's right. Cooler heads prevail.
So what are we gonna do about this? Are we gonna,
I've spoke with the CFO, and it's basically a matter of some catch-up with it.
Yeah.
The 2015, like, they're still asking questions on it, that's why it wasn't closed off. And it's just some back and forth. 2016 is in the same boat. It's just a matter of catching up, but I did
Yeah.
ask her, is there someone we could bring in, would it make sense? She
That's-
said, absolutely not.
Okay.
Because of the simple fact, that by the time she trains someone else to do all this stuff, she's now put herself another couple months behind. She's pretty much reassured me that she believes that she would be very caught up very soon, but she's waiting to answer the questions, they're working with her on it.
Okay. And what I meant was not to bring someone in to train, was to go out and get someone like from our auditor or from an auditing firm to come in and who does this all the time, to help crank things to get caught up. That's all.
Sadly, one of the bigger problems with that is we've got our typical system, like in our accounting system.
Right.
That's what makes it a bit of a challenge,
Yep.
even our auditors, when they bid on our jobs, there's
Yeah,
a big
because they don't
learning
do
curve
municipal work.
because of that. And it's a very specific
Yep.
program,
okay, it's been duly noted though.
for sure.
Yeah. All right, 4.3, disc golf ownership transfer.
If you recall, we were asked a while back if it would be okay to put to erect the disc golf system along our green space along the river. We now have a letter requesting the town, they want to give it to us as a gift, and that we look after it. You know what, it's a really lovely infrastructure, there's people that use it. We don't have the money for the repair and maintenance. It is suggested that maybe we could look at taking this over. However, we need to count on their support as the group to assist the town in finding funding and for the regular maintenance of it.
I remember distinctly when this was brought up, the disc golf, that it was their baby, and it was their baby alone, and they were to take full responsibility and not turn it over to the town. That was a no-go.
Chad?
Do we do any maintenance there now? Like, do we mow the grass?
We mow the grass, but it's the actual metal infrastructure
Yeah.
that we don't want to be responsible
Yeah.
for.
Okay,
Or
No, I was just wondering.
suggesting we don't.
yeah.
Brian?
Like, what maintenance would be involved, I guess, is what
If
I
there's
wanted.
chains that break on it, if someone's hanging off of it like a monkey bar and bend it over, and just that kind of stuff. There will be maintenance on it
Yeah.
required. As far as the grounds maintenance, we do the grounds maintenance anyway, it's the actual structure itself.
So it's been up for a year, and as far as I know, there hasn't been, they
Yep.
haven't had to replace any, they haven't.
There's been some issues there, and I think that might be one of the
Well,
reasons.
they're not gonna be, because I agree with Margaret, it was like, yeah, this is great, but we're not paying for it.
Yep.
So, I thought they talked about selling some advertising at each pole.
That was going to be, like, I know, that was going to be their baby,
Yeah.
their baby
And
alone.
they would raise enough money to
And
look after the
and I
maintenance of
had
it.
this conversation with Amber, and she told him directly too.
Yeah.
Fine, you can do it, whatever it is, but you're not giving it back to me.
I
But,
just-
you know,
I gotta say, we're a little bit backwards when it comes to barrier-free recreation. I feel like a lot of other municipalities do, you know, the fundraising groups and the community groups and stuff do the kind of capital fundraising to get the infrastructure in place, but then it's usually the municipality who takes these things over, so I just find it so odd that it always comes back to this table and then we debate, like with the skate park and the spray park, like obviously those are gonna be our things once they're built. Obviously, we're gonna assume liability and maintenance of them, like, I just don't think it's not fair to expect these groups to be able to do these things. They don't have the same resources or access to things like liability insurance. Like the disc golf group could never go and get liability insurance, like they'd never be able to afford it. So, I don't know, like, I get, like, yeah, we need some sort of agreement where, you know, maybe they're gonna do a yearly fundraiser that goes into a maintenance fund or something like that and to keep them on board, but again, like most other municipalities take on ownership of barrier-free recreation and their rec department heads that up, and I find it odd that we fight against that a lot.
I don't think we're fighting. The conversation was, they wanted to do it, they got a grant for it, and they were going to do it, and they were going to take ownership of it. And now all of a sudden, somebody maybe has lost interest or doesn't want to take ownership. Well, here you go to the town, and we're already strapped for money, and well, okay, something goes wrong, well, the town can fix it. So that's putting it bluntly. It's hard decisions that have to be made. We're responsible for a lot, and I do understand it's a good thing, but this was the agreement, the initial agreement.
I'm just wondering if maybe some further discussion with that group and committee and some arrangement, maybe similar to our baseball diamond, where the users actually do things for themselves, for the benefit of themselves, and we work in collaboration. And that way, it's not the town sending its people going out and doing things all the time.
Sorry, I think Andrew was first.
Yeah, it's 9 posts in the ground with some nets on top. Let's just take it. If it turns out that next spring there are 9 posts that are no longer standing straight up, they're all folded over, then we would expect our maintenance and recreation guys to come and say, look, nobody's using it, these things are destroyed, let's just pull them out. Or we know these things get a lot of use, it's useful, let's maintain it.
I think they are being used, but I think before we agree to take anything over, we need to understand the expectation and the cost of if that happens.
Well, there can be no
Because I think we-
expectation though. If they ask us to take it over, then they don't get to have an expectation. If they ask us to take it over, it becomes ours, and you don't get to come to us next year and say, you know, 2 of those posts are bent, you should really fix them. Thanks for the update, we know the 2 posts are bent, we don't have any money for it, so I guess you're playing a 7-hole game of disc golf instead of none.
Just so you know, they got a $1,900 grant from TPCRC last year to put up these 9 posts. So $1,900 is what we're talking about, is what it costs to put up the 9 posts.
Post is one thing, it's looking at the actual maintenance of the chains and everything else with it. The liability, like I said, I have no problem with us taking it over, but everything, and Andrew, I believe you were the king of the saying, it's great to get these gifts until it's an ongoing expense that becomes an expectation to the town.
Yep. And that's where the hook is, right? In the past, we just take these things on and we say, yes, we'll take them on and we'll maintain them. Maybe in this one, it's yes, we'll take it on, and we were pretty clear. We're not guaranteeing you that disc golf is gonna exist 2 years from now. You spend the money on it, it's up and running. If 2 years from now, 3 years from 1 year from now, nobody's using it, and the stuff needs to be maintained, then we get to make a choice with whether or not we keep it.
Okay, Margaret.
So will this not be a recreation director's decision?
It's gonna be a financial one, and she doesn't enter agreements unless council approves it. The recommendation is requesting council approve the gift of the 9 disc golf course, along with sending a letter to the committee stating that in the future, if repairs or maintenance is required, that we count on the support from the committee to assist in the town in finding funding if needed.
So if they don't have the money, if they don't fix it, like Andrew said, goodbye, too bad.
So, yeah, the only thing I want to say is that they did say that they would be able to look after it. Now, that was, but at the end of the day, it is not a huge, we're not talking about an indoor pool. We're not talking about a super heater here, we're talking about $1,900 that cost in full to put it together. I would be interested if how much they paid last year, over the last 12 months on maintenance. Probably not very much.
It didn't come up until someone hit one of them and bent them, that's why it's coming up.
Is it bent right now?
Yeah.
We don't
The
want
person that hit it was actually kind enough to straighten it out.
Oh, okay. Well, we don't want to.
But there's also
So-
one.
Exactly, yeah.
One of them
If it's
that's
perfect, we'll
located
take
down by the water. So I think we can expect that that's gonna be an issue if we have floodwaters like we get every year. There's one or two of them that could be an issue with the water.
Yeah.
So once that starts, being a little
Yeah.
soupy in there,
On the plus side, there's a teenager who organized a golf disc tournament for youth.
Really?
Yeah, for the homecoming long weekend and.
it's good.
Yeah, the kids like it.
So, are we,
So
just
once
by a
we-
show of hands, are we okay taking this on then?
Sure.
Are we taking on the maintenance and what is the expectation that we're telling them? I wanna be very clear on that.
Yeah.
I like what the recreation
Right,
director is,
yeah,
but
I agree.
I'm good.
And also add what Andrew said about how that means that in 2 years, if it's not financially responsible for us to keep them maintained anymore, that disc golf might not be.
No, after day 2, we're not responsible.
Okay, 4.4, payroll and accounts.
Sorry, just writing.
Okay.
We require a resolution for pay period number 13 in the amount of $119,555.64, checks in the amount of $139,480.41, and electronic funds transfer in the amount of $63,637.59, for a total disbursement of $322,673.64. There were two larger checks in here. You can see one is for $21,529, and that's to the city of Brennan, that's for our 911 service. And also, there's another one to Manitoba Pension, there was a change of name, so they've changed it now, pardon me, to Manitoba Municipal Employees Clearing or something like that. So it's just a new name, so this, I was even going, who is this? So that's our pension program. Yeah,
Sounds like kind of
Clear this out.
bad. Yeah.
pretty much.
Any other inquiries?
No,
Okay, Deputy Mayor, salute us in camera.
well, you need chips now. Yay.
That we would continue to discuss matters to require our attention.